By the end of this video, you're going to have a 5-step guide to treating your dog or cat's diarrhea naturally. Hi, I'm Pet Doc Donna, and I've been a holistic vet for over 30 years. So let's get started getting your pet feeling better now. These are brand new steps we just came up with and brand new homemade treatment options. So I really want you guys to watch this video to the end and learn all of these amazing novel ideas for helping your pet. Now here's a reminder, if you're going to skip any of these steps, your pet will be afflicted with diarrhea longer than you'd like, so please don't skip any of them. Step 1, figure out if this diarrhea is acute or chronic. If it's acute and your pet has never had diarrhea before, you may have to go off to the vet because it's possible that your dog ate something poisonous or toxic, or needs to have his stomach pumped, or need to have activated charcoal. It can be life-threatening. Other causes can be chewing sticks, eating grass, eating things around the yard. Organic compost is a huge problem. For cats, it could be just that the food isn't good for the cat. Maybe the food is bad, and maybe you need to change food. And for sure, for all chronic diarrhea cases, all recurrent diarrhea cases, what we do is we stop all treats. Step 2 is working with the diet and treats. You know, food allergies can be a cause of chronic or recurrent diarrhea. Mold toxins from kibble can be a cause for diarrhea. So that's bags of kibble that have been left open at room temperature, and then those can grow mold spores, and the mold spores can be toxic to the dog or cat. So we want to stop all food, stop anything internally except for water for 12 to 24 hours. And then we want to start the pet off with a bland diet. And for our practice, what that usually is 50% boiled turkey. We use turkey instead of chicken because of the food allergies associated with chicken, and rice. And we do this for a couple of days, feeding small amounts more often. And if that takes care of the diarrhea, well, that tells you that there's a probable dietary issue. But you can't stop there because we need to learn all of the other steps. And you guys, if you can hit that subscribe button, that really helps us out. And also watching this video to the end really helps us out. Step 3, fix the biome. So the biome are the healthy bacteria that we're born with and that we die with, and that all through our life should stay fairly consistent. But unfortunately, our diet can impact our biome. Antibiotic use, other chronic medications, the bacteria in the digestive tract changes and becomes more pathologic. And if that happens, we can end up with things like SIBO, bacterial overgrowth in the wrong compartment of the intestinal tract, and that can cause diarrhea. Probiotics such as Lactobacillus, Saccharomyces, Enterobacter, Bifidus, these are all really important healthy bacteria, and in case of Saccharomyces, it's a yeast. And what we want to do is we want to bring back these types of healthy bacteria to outcompete the bad bacteria. So a lot of people think just if they give their dog probiotic all the time, that will help, and it can, unless there's food allergies, because sometimes what happens with the probiotics is that people feed the probiotics and then the pet is allergic to whatever the probiotic is grown on, whether it's dairy products, egg products, chicken products. In the case of Purina's Fortiflora, which is a very good probiotic with a lot of good acidophilus, it's chicken-based, so the pets can have an allergy to it, which means that you're taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So I just want you guys to know food allergies can really drive this. What we do in our practice is we use natural probiotics. So that's food-based probiotics. So we might do a little tiny piece of miso in the food if the dog has no soy allergies. Or we might do a little bit of kombucha if that's the best way. It depends on the pet. Garlic-free sauerkraut in our practice. And the most common one that everyone knows about is yogurt. We use goat milk kefir or goat milk yogurt, and both of those are healthy probiotic from a food base. Why we use goat is because goat milk and goat milk products tend to be less allergic than cow milk products for most of our animal friends. Did you know that kefir has Saccharomyces and a whole lot of excellent probiotic yeast? People always talk about probiotic bacteria, but what about probiotic yeast? You know, probiotic yeast, like a Saccharomyces, can outcompete the bad yeast growing in our intestinal tract, because it's not just bad bacteria sometimes. Yeast can be a big problem too. Dose of Goat milk kefir for a cat is 1/8 of a teaspoon for the whole day. That's 1/8 of a teaspoon per 10 pounds of body weight. For yogurt, what I do is I just double that, so that instead of 1/8 of a teaspoon, it's going to be 1/4 of a teaspoon. For dogs, it's going to be 1/2 of a teaspoon of goat yogurt per 20 pounds of body weight twice a day. So a little higher dose for the dogs. Again, for the dogs, the kefir, the goat milk kefir, can be half that dose, so 1/4 of a teaspoon twice a day. Probiotics are not the same as digestive enzymes. Now, you guys, I want you to know the difference. Probiotic is a bacteria or a yeast. That's a good yeast, a good probiotic, a good way to boost the biome of the intestinal tract. Digestive enzyme, though, that's something that ends with ASE. So it might be protease, it might be lipase, cellulase. These are products, usually powdered products, that help your pet's pancreatic function. I shouldn't say help, I should say replace. So the problem with digestive enzymes in young animals who have a normal healthy pancreas is it can override their own pancreatic function. And when it does that, it makes it so that they can't produce their own exocrine enzymes as well. So I only use digestive enzymes in pets with diabetes, where I know that there's a pancreatic problem and they have a chronic digestive problem also. And I also use digestive enzymes with the older animals. So anybody that all the pets, all the dogs, all the cats where I think that their own pancreas isn't being strong enough in producing those enzymes, that's where it's perfect to add in a digestive enzyme. I want you guys to know the difference, in a lot of products combine them, and that's not always the best for the animal. I like to keep them separate. But you can't stop there, because we have 2 more steps, the last step being most important. Hey, you guys, before we go on any further, I want you to hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment. Please tell me your own pet story. Step 4, know if your pet has food allergies. They can be the most common cause of inflammatory bowel disease that we see, or IBD. Very, very common. So again, what I'm going to tell you guys is not to feed egg, chicken, or chicken byproducts, or chicken fat. That's in a lot of things. Beef, dairy products, grains, fish, and fish oil. The next step is to rotate proteins. We're going to have you just feed one protein to your pet, and then after 1 month, switch it so that the pet does not get hypersensitized to the new protein. And so this is a way of handling food allergies. Don't leave now, because this is our last step. Step 5 is how to use herbal therapies effectively. This is really, really important. I want you guys to all understand that all herbs do not help all pets. So the first thing to realize is that herbs like marshmallow root and slippery elm, 2 amazing demulcent herbs, help colitis. So if we see mucus in the stool, maybe a little bit of blood streaks in the stool, these maybe are places where there's a little bit of colitis, and that's when demulcents come in. So the dose of slippery elm is 1 teaspoon per 20 pounds of body weight twice a day, and that's for just 3 or 4 days. We don't use these demulcents long term. We use them short term just to help a little bit of inflammation, but it still might mean you need to change the diet. It's important to realize that demulcents do not help food allergies. Demulcents don't help if your pet eats toxins, okay? So they only help when there's just a little bit of inflammation along the colon wall. I just want you guys to realize that. So let's say you have a cat and you don't know what's causing the diarrhea, and it's recurrent, but it's not very severe. Maybe you've already been to the vet and the vet just tells you that it's IBD. Why don't you try this homemade recipe? 1 teaspoon of canned pumpkin, a 1/16 of a teaspoon of goat milk kefir, a 1/16 of a teaspoon of fenugreek, a 1/16 of a teaspoon of fennel seed, and a 1/16 of a teaspoon of marshmallow root, a 1/16 of a teaspoon of psyllium husks or flax meal. And you stir all that up. So that recipe that I just gave you lasts for a whole day. And you can use the same recipe for a 10-pound dog, and then you can times it per 10 pounds of body weight and see if that helps your pet. It isn't a replacement for putting your pet on the right diet. It isn't a treatment for food allergies. That's going to all come from doing novel proteins one at a time and stopping treats. So, but it is an excellent little little tool that can help sometimes, and it's not very expensive. In Chinese medicine, there's often an imbalance between the liver and the spleen. And a lot of times the liver can get too hot, too inflamed. That can be the case for food allergies and toxins in the diet. And in other cases, the spleen, the pet is born with a very weak pancreas or weak spleen function. And there's herbs that correct these patterns of imbalance. And what I want you guys to do is, if you do have access to a holistic vet that does use Chinese herbs, these can be extremely effective for treating chronic diarrhea. And my favorite herb to treat cases of liver heat, creating heat and suppressing the spleen qi, is xiangling song. I'll put that in the text. And this herb is extremely good at stopping diarrhea for that reason. It isn't a replacement for a good diet though. You know, there's no herb that's going to replace a good diet. And maybe some dogs can't have kibble, some dogs can't have canned food. You guys are going to have to figure that stuff out on your own. But just remember, the fewer amount of proteins that the pet eats is the fewer amount of proteins the pet can react to. The pet can react to proteins, especially being fed for years on end, and that's what we want to try to avoid. Other Chinese herbal formulas that can be helpful are the gentlemen. We have 4 gentlemen, 6 gentlemen, 8 gentlemen. These can help iron out, strengthen the spleen qi, quiet the liver qi, and iron out the inflammation in the digestive tract. If you love this video, you're going to love this one that outlines holistic solutions for inflammatory bowel disease.